And we're here with the penultimate episode to the Guilty Gear lore series. As we near the finale to the Heaven or Hell series, we're kind of really expanding upon the lore, and I'm just excited to see all the side characters that we get introduced to in Strive here. Maybe start to make an appearance? Maybe you get to see a little bit of where that leads? I don't know. I guess we'll just have to jump in and see.
2187
like musical
AD,
chairs.
the end of the Cradle Incident. 4 members of the Conclave, led by Cronus, were determined to be the ones responsible for Justice's resurrection attempt. But thanks to Sol and his team's efforts, they did not prevail.
But this guy is still out there somewhere, right? In the last episode, we saw that the good Dr. Faust did run into him and question him. Oh, and that's right, the people of Japan were being fed some sort of placebo medicine, but he wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of the 4 Conclave members, only Cronus survives. Ever since the dawn of revival, mankind has been under constant attack by what is known only as the Universal Will. And yet, mankind was strong. They overcame the countless crises bestowed upon them, and are welcoming the new era with open arms.
That's what we do. Unless if we die out, then that also happens. It depends on what the apocalypse story wants to go for.
Get ready to rock.
Exurd Revelator. So many Exurds.
Guilty Gear Exard, Revelator. Prologue, Assassin.
Exard? Okay.
Slayer suffered an embarrassing defeat to Bedman in the series of incidents prior. Right now, he somehow found joy in the events that transpired.
I mean, for Slayer, it's embarrassing because he's Slayer fighting Bedman, but anybody else beating Bedman is kind of an achievement. Just like that very long-nosed guy in the city of Zep. Like, I was not expecting that.
No.
Invigorated by the prospect that he could be bested in combat by a human, Slayer prepares for a rematch by training with
Does
Zato
Bedman
1
really
and
count at that point, though?
It's difficult to judge. Bedman has very unique circumstances, let's say, that makes him very different. But I suppose from Slayer's POV, like, if they're not a vampire, they're human. So, yeah.
Leah Rage. Zato, who saw through Bedman's tricks, offered Slayer the strategy, but he refused to have his fun spoiled. Despite giving it their all, Slayer does not hold back. Remotivated.
It's like when you're fighting a tough boss in a video game, and chat's like, there's an easy way to cheese this fight. Like, shut up. I'm enjoying this boss fight. Leave me alone.
Oh, man. Yeah, I feel that so much. Like, yeah, you can min-max, you can cheese the fight, but, like, what's the fun in that? Let me figure it out myself, And for Slayer, it makes a lot of sense, considering, he's an immortal being. He's been living throughout all these ages. Fighting is probably what stirs the most emotion out of him. It makes him feel something, So yeah, I get it. But also, it's like the classic shonen thing of like, I finally met a worthy rival. Something like that.
Yeah.
Remarks that he intended to save his power for the day he faced Sol, but his blood is now boiling. From Zato's perspective, after dying and undergoing an incomplete resurrection, Zato's heart has forgotten all of its emotion, but he has vowed to become stronger, that he may protect the one entity that is capable of stirring his emotion, Milia.
Okay, I mean, him dying actually made him a better person. This is kind of sad to say, but you're a much better person than you were before Zato. So yeah, let's stick with it. You can become even better. I trust you.
Before sparring, Zato presents Slayer with a question. Long ago, determination gave him power in battle, but since his return, he no longer feels anything. Win or lose, que sera sera.
What does that mean?
This emptiness allows him to use 100% of his current strength. Which was stronger? He then has a battle epiphany, realizing 100% was not enough to defeat Slayer. By becoming single-minded on protecting Milia,
He must
his body
become
moved faster
110%.
No, he's gotta go plus ultra to surpass his limits. Yes.
than he thought possible.
I
Slayer
love
is
power
inspired.
scaling in percents because they never make sense.
Well, I mean, the ending of the first season of Mob Psycho made sense. Wait, was that the first season? No, it was the second season, I think.
Second season.
Yeah. Well, the way the percentages went up, although I guess that had been set up ever since the very beginning of the series, with Mob Psycho 100 being the title of it, so yeah.
The incident that shook the world to its very core, and Zato's revival, amidst this whirlwind of drama surrounding her, Milia Rage's heart did not know how to cope. Zato confesses to Milia. He wants her to live a normal life, but to her,
What?
life
This is Milia you're talking to. I guess you don't really remember her or know her, so that's fair. But yeah, like, learning anything about her, you already know she's not going to back down from any fight. Jeez.
outside the guild
Her last
never
name
felt
is Rage.
normal.
Yeah,
She wants
true.
to become strong enough to not need his protection. Slayer is brutally honest about her weakness in training, but
Damn.
could sense her desire to not be left behind. The only home she knows is the Assassin's Guild.
Does it feel like
So for the
Zoro and Mihawk?
Sora and Mihawk? I could see that, yeah.
sake of others like her, she sets her goals on becoming its next leader.
Alright.
World catastrophe, Zato's sudden revival. In the rapid unfolding of surrounding events, Zato worries for his organization's future. Venom stands ever by his side. They contemplate that Bedman effectively defeated the entire organization. As leader of the guild, he shows them his resolve to reform the guild as a public and legit organization.
Legit
Like, I admire
organization.
Venom's commitment to Zato, but it's kind of sad.
I mean, it's kind of shifted back and forth, no? Wasn't there a point in the timeline where they were trying to kill Zato, but then when he came back, they were like, wait a minute, maybe not kill him? But we don't see Venom in Strive, and we don't hear any mention of him at all. So I don't... Is he, like, waiting to get at it, or does he die here?
I remember nothing, so...
Prologue. Illyria, Zep, and Eastern Chip Kingdom.
Oh my god.
Although
the Chip
the initial
Kingdom.
crisis was averted, the mysteries surrounding the incidents have not been unraveled. Constantly running from subsequent disasters, a dark, gloomy shadow was cast over Potemkin's very being. Gabriel gives Potemkin a new assignment.
There he is. The snows. What a legend.
Investigate the former Conclave's hideout and rendezvous with Kai. Sensing Potemkin's broken spirit from his recent losses to Bedman
His
and
head looks so
Ramlethal,
tiny without his helmet.
That's kind of what happens when you exercise a little bit too much. Or I should rephrase that. A lot too much.
And bodybuilders.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly if
It's
you
not
take
even-
steroids. Not gonna lie.
It's because it's not even like exercise. They build their body like that intentionally. That's not normal.
Well, I understand it for the people who are competing in like bodybuilding competitions that they need to like look their absolute peak. Oh my god.
I apologize. That was way louder than I thought it would be.
Oh man. But it also kind of sets like an unrealistic standard for a lot of guys and make them feel super insecure. Like, no, it's okay. Normal exercise does not make you this big. And obviously you're not
No.
going to look as big as any anime character, especially not a JoJo's character.
You're not going to be Potemkin. Don't compare yourself to Potemkin.
Gabriel, though, on the other hand, if you worked really hard, maybe you could grow your nose that long. I don't know. I haven't
They
looked
say
into
your
it.
nose keeps growing even after you die. So like,
Really? Damn.
yeah.
But-
It doesn't stop.
Wait, what is... Is it mostly cartilage? I forget.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
Cartilage just keeps on building up and up and up. You become Pinocchio?
he reminds them that a
The nose
warrior
has
who
infinite
loses a
potential.
match is second rate, but one who loses to himself is third. A
Damn!
first-rate soldier has experienced both.
Yo! Words to live by. Yeah, don't be afraid of defeat, my dudes.
And faces his true self and finds his confidence. He meets Kai at the Conclave Opera House.
He's so big.
Mankind has once again narrowly escaped extinction by the hands of another Valentine, but the incident was far from over. The first king, Kai Kisk, begins his investigation in hopes of uncovering the truth. Kai searches the Opera House for evidence of the Opus connection to Gears. Potemkin arrives, calling Kai foolhardy for coming alone and sharing intel with a rival nation. After a duel, Potemkin questions his ability to be a wall of defense for Zep. This time, Kai laughs at Potemkin as he
So, like, they can't reveal anything to each other without having a duel first. Like, having an honest conversation right from the get-go is not the protocol here. I see.
No. You have to feel each other's, like, where you stand with each other first with your fists.
Yeah, to
And then you
feel
can
their
know if
resolve. Mhm.
Yeah.
Through the clashing of swords. The true warrior's path.
he explains that he too feels powerless before the unknown threat, but the only way forward is to unite and offer the world hope. Just as they find evidence,
Kibo.
Chip Zanath interrupts.
Oh.
The Conclave plans got thwarted by Solon Gang. However, Chip ponders on the turn of events as the world recovers. Chip distrusts
Chip
the government
ponders is such a
PR's
terrifying sentence.
You wouldn't expect this man to think. But, like, he doesn't look it. His archetype shouldn't be it. But he's actually done a lot of really good stuff out there.
I know.
This guy is actually very capable.
You never know what this man's gonna do.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
he's thinking, Chip.
surrounding the Cradle incident. Ignoring Answer's pleas for him to act more diplomatically, he interrupts Kai and Potemkin at the Opera House with his own intel. He's uncovered that the new threat is being
still want
called
Answer
the
back.
Universal Will. Chip has a hunch that this isn't a mysterious force, but something that acts out of deliberate hatred for humanity. He considers the Sanctus Maximus, but Kai is insulted at the prospect. He backs off.
Kai, this isn't the first time in history where the people who you work for that you thought were good weren't actually good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I would want to question things a little more and be a bit more skeptical.
Honestly, Kai's been pushed around and ended up in bad situations more than Chip has. We should listen to Chip in this scenario.
He doesn't look like it, but he knows what he's doing. Like,
Let
even
the
when,
lead man talk.
yeah, when I first saw him in Strive, I was like, oh, so he's like the boring, like, a generic ninja man. But no, far from that. Far from that.
Leaving Kai with a kunai and advice.
Of course.
お前はイリュリアのいや世界を代表する王様だ
Exactly.
常に冷静さは失うなそして何かがあった時の覚悟を持って
Wise words from Chip.
だからもしお前が疑わしき人間と出会ったらこう聞いてみろ
Ask them.
人間が好きかってな
What? How did you say that after you left?
With Soul's help, Kai managed to undermine the Conclave's plot for world domination. However, that was merely the opening act of an even bigger conspiracy.
Conspiracies go
Kai
even
knew
deeper.
that a greater battle awaited him,
I love the
though he tried
backgrounds.
to hide it.
They're
Dizzy
so
could clearly
crazy.
They are, and like they're so impractical, but you know it
Yes.
works. I mean, basically
That's why I
everything of
love
this
them.
universe is so impractical.
we see the fear in his eyes. Kai inspects the old Thunder Seal sword, surprised to learn that it regenerates over time, now that Dizzy is free. Sensing sadness in Kai, Dizzy reminds him of the day that they met in the Grove, when she asked him if being prepared to protect someone means being prepared to hurt another. He replied that the value of power gained from hurting others must continuously be questioned, lest you stop even recognizing your own actions. Dizzy
I mean, yeah, fair point. It's like when you gain an all-granting, like, wish device, like, say, the monkey's paw, and then, like, you make one wish, and then you're like, oh, that was easy. Well, that works. Maybe I can just make a quick another one, and everything will be even better. And then you just can't stop, because you have that power to make things go the way that you want it to, and to protect those that you care about. But, like, where does it end?
That's like the metaphor of like a staircase or whatever. It's like taking one step is easy. So you take another step and then another step. And next thing you know, you're somewhere completely different. And you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah. I mean, it's not just about like bad things. It's also about good things. Like the first step is the hardest step. Like, hey, starting a YouTube channel. Making the first few videos we didn't really know what we were doing. And now look at where we are. I mean, we're not like, super far, but we got somewhere. But if we didn't start, then we wouldn't be anywhere. Yeah.
It's a good way to describe us. We got somewhere.
Yeah. We're not there just yet, but I'm just enjoying the journey. That I hope you are too, Serby.
Currently on the Warhammer step. We've been there for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have my own personal obsessions, okay? Hey, I'm obsessed over Guilty Gear lore, too. I mentioned it during all the Warhammer videos, if you haven't listened to any of it.
I only tease you because I love you.
Well, I guess I could accept that.
Wishes she had a heart as strong, to which Kai replies that all she needs is a chair in her heart, where one can sit for a conversation.
A chair in her heart.
I think that's actually a pretty popular metaphor, because I've seen it so many times in like a Japanese anime.
I feel like I've never seen it before.
Really? Well, you haven't watched Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, there was literally a scene of Nobara talking about that, of like, there's only so many chairs in her heart for the people that she cares about. I don't know if it's like a popular thing, but I have seen it before in other anime.
Gotcha.
I wanted to show you that some humans are able to handle your power. Back in the present, Dizzy says that her power has meaning now, and shows Kai with a fight. Holding his hand,
course.
She tells him she has a chair in her heart now, so that he can always come home.
Is Dizzy just
Prologue.
indirectly telling Kai to sit on her?
Maybe. You never know.
And was Kai also insinuating that he can handle her power in bed? Okay, maybe I'm reading into it a little too hard.
It was a little bit of a stretch. I don't think Kai could.
I mean,
maybe Kai. I don't know.
Jacko's awakening.
Jacko!
With her life, she was given a destiny. She was more than well aware of this, as Jacko Valentine woke up in a dark, gloomy room. Nonetheless, the sudden turn of events has left her existence incomplete.
They're everywhere. And she's about to do a pose.
Ino wakes Jacko earlier than planned. She says her memories and personality data are still fragmented and unstable, as over half of her soul has not been downloaded. Due to her incomplete state, her personality hard switches back and forth between childlike to mature. Defying Ino's instructions to stay put, Jacko boosts away to assess herself and this era, landing in...
I don't know, I guess Ino is just like, yeah, I'll experiment, I'll do this and see what happens, just to see if it's interesting.
Heaven's Edge. She marvels at the tomb dedicated to all possible futures. She wonders if it relates to her being the scales of Juno. She lost her restaurant. Her piggy bank was light, and the man upon whom she'd set her sights was out of reach.
Okay, I didn't know that she had a crush on Kai, but understandable, I guess.
He is the shonen MC.
It was really sad, though, when in her, like, ultimate, you actually see the restaurant just destroyed. She always thinks about it when she punches somebody to death. That's sad.
Jam was frustrated.
Yeah, it's
Looking
fair.
for a change of scenery, she happens to cross paths with Jacko, seeking the same. The two quickly strike up a friendship. Jacko feels she has nothing to want or to lose, and feels unsettled. Jam,
if you just throw the whole cast of Guilty Gear up, I bet I could pick out these two as friends.
Yeah. I actually kind of had the same thought, though. Like, yeah, it feels so natural that these two would be friends. There's just something about their design and knowing their personalities, too, that, like, yeah, obviously.
Jam can tell that Jacko is half human because she only has half the ki that a person should. She recounts her restaurant burning down for the 3rd time.
Aw.
Jacko is shocked that Jam can start from nothing so many times. Jam answers by sweeping Jacko.
What?
As she gets up, confused, Jam asks, "Did you need a reason to stand up again?"
Whoa.
When they part ways, Jam
So that's what it means to understand each other through the power of your fists. Important life lessons, people. Learn them.
Yes.
tells Jacko to save the world by just living her normal life.
They both have
Always
a pose
return
where
to
they stick
yourself.
their butt in the air.
I mean, if you're a cute anime girl and you don't have a pose where you stick your butt up in the air, then what are you doing? Are you even anime girling correctly? Don't
Yeah,
get
I mean, I guess you're right. Yeah, I suppose. My bad.
わかったかおかち持ちから出直しよ
Elsewhere, Soul, Sin, and Ramlethal are operating around the clock to get Elfeld back from her
I like
kidnappers.
the word Soul and Company.
Well, everybody else doesn't really matter too much. It's just all about Soul Bad Guy.
Time continues to pass without any solid leads. Just then, the most unexpected guest shows up. Once again, Raven appears
Oh.
before Soul, but this time
Unicorn
he
Man.
asks for help. Justice is still in the enemy's hands, and her revival must be stopped. Soul is naturally distrusting, but Raven swears to Soul.
背徳の炎よ使って関係では
I mean, Soul's suspicious of everybody.
ないいつでも私の首を
I mean, look at
はね
Raven though.
Well, when the other Valentine betrayed them in the last episode, Soul's like, yeah, it happens. Anyway, let's get this fight on. Like, he's so jaded to all this. Like, who cares?
He is.
He's like, yeah, fine. I'll progress the plot and see what happens, but eventually I'll beat you up.
そんなんでてめえは死にゃしねえだろうが
Yeah, Soul knows too well.
支度をしろ
That guy's freaking immortal.
At Heaven's Edge, the group encounters Ino, who is abandoned tracking down Jacko, telling Soul that she's now more interested in his seed.
Huh? Oh my.
I feel like the word seed gets used a little too frequently.
I mean, Ino's a character in the base game for Guilty Gear Strive. I think I know my main.
I mean, we knew you'd be into Ino. That's not a surprise.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I knew before I even saw her that I'd be into her.
She attacks him, but after he fends her off, she escapes. Soul demands answers, to which Raven replies he's not sure how much he's at liberty to say, but explains that the universal will
I like how
is
Raven
aiming-
has the unicorn horn, but it goes all the way through to the back of his head.
It's more like a stake through his head then. That's kind of what it would look like, more than a unicorn horn. But I guess he's got to be prepared if he gets attacked from behind too, so that's more...
You could do the head, butt, front, and back, yeah.
Yeah, it's for utility.
to create a new
Big
humanity
brain.
to replace the current one.
Big
Valentines
brain
are
spike.
engineered souls, designed to merge with the vessel of justice. The merging of Elfeld with justice will
You
create
can
this
sit
new
in the
humanity.
background.
But
He's so
Batman
bored.
is working to keep this from happening by using Jack-O, a Valentine of his creation, to fuse with justice and act as a lid preventing the universal will from seizing control.
Oh.
The group
But I mean, now what? Because obviously Jacko does not fuse with justice. We see Jacko in Strive.
finds Jack-O, and suddenly Soul's head begins to hurt.
There it was! Hey! Of course we'd see her pose. Bruh.
just as it did against the first Valentine. Raven commands them to apprehend her, but not destroy her, which confuses Ram. Destroy should only apply to objects, not human beings. Raven says that she's a doll, just like you, but then corrects himself, saying to detain her with minimal damage. Jack O
Wording.
vaguely recalls
Raven,
Soul as
you
a
thought
different
through that one for a minute, and you know what? Actually,
Yeah,
I can't think better on that one.
for Avalthal, you probably should be very specific with your instructions. Yeah.
name. Fret, but she can't remember.
Hmm?
She feels as if she had something important to tell him. Under the mask, her face also looks like Arya.
Of course, everybody looks like Arya.
私はジャック・オー・バレンタイン
Oh my god, this voice.
タイン
Soul
の
is
完成形ジャスティ
Soul's
ス
so
の完
done.
全なる適合生態だから私はアリアの半分子だよそう半分半分いえそれは正しくないわ
What?
正確には
Your personality changes mid-convo? Mid-sentence? Oh god. Oh man. Well, I mean, I can get behind this deeper voice. The other one was,
フラグメント化されたアリアの
That's
記憶
when
デ
we
ー
were
タを
watching the supers or whatever, and you were interested in Jacko. I'm like, you know, I don't know that Jacko's the character that you're looking for, but also,
Hey.
but she's still something.
hey, yeah, she's certainly very unique. Like all the Valentines, they do share the same name, but they are very different from each other.
統合し
Very
ジャスティ
different.
ス個体としての情報セクターを上書きする組対復元ユニット
I love her
ユ
halo
ノの
though.
天秤を人類に
Yeah,
還元
looks
する
cool.
役目でもごめんなさいせっかくの再会だけど今はまだ半分だからあなたのことはあまり思い出せないのそれでも心が激しく揺れるのを感じるきっと昔
Soul
の
has
私
his
は
very own little
相
harem.
当あなたを思っていたよね
そんなはずはねえそれが本当だとしたらお前はアリアはジャスティスの素体だったんだ
Wait. Did the characters not know this up until now? I mean, I guess we as the viewers knew, but Soul himself didn't know? Huh. It's a classic fumble of when the audience knows something and then they expect the characters to know because we have outside information that we forgot wasn't revealed to the characters. Then we get frustrated at them.
I mean, we know also just from watching like the whole timeline, but I don't know when it was announced in the games either.
Yeah, true. Maybe we did see Soul address that, but that was in like Strive. So I guess this might be the first time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all jumbled in my head, and it's taken us such a long time to get through this series too, just because of time and scheduling.
Yeah.
そんなバカな話があるか
あなたの心も感じるわとても激しい背徳の炎と戦ってるの
Raven gives thanks, telling Soul that he will soon have a heavy role to play once the Gearmaker is free.
Imagine
Flame
that
of Corruption
conversation
is
went
not
the
an-
reverse, and she started in the more serious tone, and then midway through, switched to like the childlike persona to finish the rest of that conversation.
I mean, the context of the later half of the convo certainly would not fit the childish voice at all. That would have been really funny.
Nickname. It's the power Soul's been implanted with. Sin remarks that Raven is lucky to have such a long lifespan, to which Raven explains that it's like being forced to eat your favorite food for eternity. Days begin to lose their meaning when life goes on too long.
そうだそれと同じなのだ長く生きすぎると人生もまた
Just another day.
味を失う
そんなじゃああんたたちは生きてるのが辛いってのかよ
それを否定したくて皆必死に人間のふりをしているいずれあのお方が答えを出してくれると 信じてな。
なんだよそれ。どんだけネガティブな運命なんだよ。
No matter how many times Ino
Thanks. That's what I needed to hear.
Shinzo is that away with words.
Yeah, true.
repeats history, the future always converges on a single point. Nonetheless, the closed worlds were slowly beginning to show signs of change. Perhaps the tomorrow she sought lies beyond. Chasing after Jack-O, Ino arrives at Heaven's Edge, but runs into Axel Lowe instead.
Again.
I have to return to my timeline. Axel was motivated by that thought and that thought alone. His only lead, his glimmer of hope to make this true, was Ino's power.
I mean, she could do that,
He once
but
again
she
asks,
hasn't.
please, send him back to his timeline. Or if she can't do it, just say so. Ino comes clean. She can't send him back specifically, because the past he wants to return to has no recollection of the present future. Jack-O then returns. Somehow, no...
Well, I guess we're not going to get into that timey-wimey timeline stuff here. But yeah, no. Just can't do it.
Knowing Axel's name, she says that Ino doesn't have all the answers, and that that man's pretty mean, so he probably didn't tell her. Suddenly, Jack-O forces a vision of the truth into Ino's head, showing her entire being, a mosaic made up of moments and people.
理解した？それが本当のイノちゃんだよ。
ふざけんな。なんだこれは。
Jack-O's just in here to really fuck with people.
Apparently so.
Now, Ino.
Yeah. Is this what leads Ino down the path to becoming a literal god?
そう抱いていられるんだ。本当にすごい。生物の強い念が宿り、ただの物体が意志を持つことがある。それを魔気と呼ぶことは知ってるわね。聖戦時、人々が明日を求める願いの力はかつてないほどに強く、結果として一つの魔気を作った。その強い念が宿った物体はバックヤードそのもの。すなわち神羅万象の断りが一つの生物になった。バックヤードはこれを世界を崩壊させるエラーと認識した。だから人の体にその意識を封じ込め、あらゆるイレギュラーな権限を与えることでその危機に対処したの。それがイノ、あなたよ。
Ino doesn't believe it for a second, but Jack-O tells her that this is the reason she's obsessed with tomorrow.
Because she's the literal embodiment of everyone's desire for tomorrow? Well,
How about that?
if I was Ino, I don't know what to say. Like, who am I? I thought I do. Oh boy, okay.
I mean, just the act of having your like strongest desire explained in such like a belittling context, that alone is a lot to like just really mess with you.
Yeah. I wonder why she gives off such a different feel in Strive. Because she knows about this. Whereas before, it kind of just looks like she's trying to have fun and trying to see where it'll take her.
存在自体がイレギュラーってことかよ。あの男は私の力が欲しかったわけじゃない。
It's like your parents coming up to you and telling you that you were a mistake. Like they never meant to have you.
Yeah.
目の届くところに置いときたかっただけ。
彼は意地悪だけど、人を駒のようには使わないわ。あなたもレイブンも救おうとしているのよ。
まあいいさ。どうやらあんたたちそっち側
Of course she's gonna take it with a stride.
私は世界の一部。
Then does that mean I can control the world?
私の一部。
Wow. You know. You react very differently from what everybody else would.
Yeah, Axel's just standing there like, oh god, why am I doing here?
Oh yeah, true. Axel's there. Axel knows about all this now too.
Because I'm just trying to go home, man. I don't want to be here. I don't need to hear that.
and Axel both necessities to the world as well as horrible mistakes. Axel is a possibility spun out of a broken future that doesn't belong in this world. In terms of backyard code, all beings are assigned individual physical IDs. Ino's individual ID, which was created outside the understandings of this world, and Axel's ID somehow overlapped through a freak miracle.
What?
All of the irregular laws that were applied to her also applied to him.
What?
Like a shogi piece that wandered onto a chessboard, he is considered a threat by the universal will, because if
Axel didn't ask for any of this! Man just wants to be with his girlfriend! Why? Oh,
Jacko's just leaving depressed people in her wake, man.
This is what happens when you tell people the truth, I guess. It hurts. Oh, dang, dude. I can just imagine, like, trying to use a cheat to spawn in an NPC. But then when you type in the right ID, it just spawns in both Ino and Axel. And you're like, wait a minute. I see. So that's why they were, like, their stories were pretty much tied with each other. And Ino was dragging Axel everywhere. Because they are, literally. Universally tied to each other.
If he chooses to jump to a different world, the one being left behind will be destroyed in a flash. Jack-O, the artificial life form, created to stop Justice Revival, had escaped. After Raven retrieves her, he begins searching for another ally lost along the way. Frustrated at dealing with the switching personalities of Jack-O, Raven is concerned about her revealing the truth to Ino prematurely. She's supposed to be a contingency plan if Soul fails. Jack-O says that there's a method to her madness. As she awoke early and ahead of schedule, she told Ino ahead of schedule.
Madness to her method.
That's what all people say until it goes wrong, and they're like, yeah, I made a mistake.
But her early awakening means that the other Jack-O, Happy Chaos, is not yet awake.
The other
Raven leaves to
Jack-O.
find Ino, remarking that telling her the truth might have been the right decision.
I love Happy
But
Chaos
sometimes
so
right
much.
isn't good enough. As he leaves, a voice from somewhere in the sanctuary speaks to itself.
It's a good laugh.
What the fuck? Well, I guess we know how this one turned out.
Raven tries to convince Ino to return, but she refuses. Ino explains that something about that man has changed, and while she was once invested in him, now he's gone to the other side. She felt like she lost her favorite toy. He admits that Jack-O was inconsiderate, but she should still consider that man's kindness.
だからさ、いいんだよ施しは。うんざりなんだよ。
You really think Ino was gonna accept that?
体にはもう
Yeah,
何も残っちゃいない。せいぜいがあたり構わず殺気を振りまくくらいのことしかできない。それなのにまだ力が手に入る。やれることが増えていくほどにやりたいことがなくなっていく。足りないものが手に入るほど欲しいものがなくなっていく。
いいの。
いいの。
その苦しみを知らないとでも言うのか。
気づいてないの？あんた今そっち側の顔だよ。
Raven asks if this is where they part ways. Ino smirks and says it's not like they were friends in the first place. But he might see her around from time to time.
Time to time. Let's see what you did there, Ino.
Prologue. Colony. The colony is being managed by someone with more influence than the Conclave. Once Faust discovered this, he took action to see for himself if the odd phenomena can really happen with the Japanese people, as he predicted. To get to the bottom of
He's
things,
so tall.
Faust brings Cronus to the...
Yeah.
Apparently, he has that teleporting door thing because he has a habit of smacking into regular doors because he's so tall, so he just uses that. which is great. I love that.
The Japanese colony to verify that he sent no orders there, and to meet with Johnny's friend.
Imagine his back pain
Master
though
Tuner,
from being punched
Kum
like that all the
Hye-hyun.
time.
I, as a tall person, can relate. Yes, I can imagine that back pain.
Cronus reveals that while it looked like Soul stopped the merge with Justice, the truth is that Justice rejected him first. He wonders if the Universal Will knew that the Conclave would fail and sent orders to the colony as part of a larger plan. It would be behaving in a deceptive human-like manner as opposed to a straightforward entity
That
of
barrels
force.
his anger.
Meanwhile, a few days have gone by since the incident that brought the world to its knees. The second king, Leo Whitefang, finds himself buried in piles of paperwork.
Oof.
After receiving a tip from President Vernon and a report from an outpost in Finland, Leo investigates strange occurrences in the Japanese colony. Faust and Cronus arrive and run right into Leo, who can't believe his eyes, but they quickly escape. Johnny, May, and the Jellyfish Pirates head towards the Japanese colony in hopes of finding a cure for May's worsening condition. At the same time, there are bizarre occurrences witnessed in the
Giant
colonies.
whale.
He explains to May that a tuner is to human beings what a guitar or piano tuner is to their instrument.
Of course you would use this comparison in Guilty Gear. Why wouldn't you?
The flow of ki within a person can be tuned to unlock full potential, or with neglect, cause illness. With incredibly poor timing, Johnny and May run into Leo just after
Incredibly poor
Faust and
timing.
Cronus leave. Leo, being watched by his subordinates, quickly schemes to let Johnny off the hook, but the situation escalates. Eventually, they're interrupted by Kum Hye-hyun. With a complete understanding and control of
Hye-hyun
all
is such
things
a
material,
Guilty Gear character. I think you show anyone him, and then they're like, "What the fuck?"
Then you say, that's actually not an old man, but it's actually a little girl.
Kum Hye-hyun is a master tuner. Hearing there was an incident with the Japanese colony, she rushes to the scene to investigate. Hye-hyun departed to investigate the Japanese colony. Her client, Johnny, met him on site. The happiness of the reunion is short-lived, however. Hye-hyun looks towards the town and her expression darkens. Later, May inquires about Kum's name, which she thinks sounds cute, like a girl's name. Kum teases her, but then decides to reveal the truth. She's actually a teenage girl, piloting Jeon Ryok Kum, an exoskeleton of an old man. She inherited the position of head of the Kum.
That's a reaction face for people new to Guilty Gear lore. Yeah.
Family.
That's on levels
Due
of
to
like
strict
Aqua's face that everyone like draws over.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Man. She inherited the position of head of the Kum family, but due to strict traditions preventing women from leadership, she hides her true identity. Johnny hesitates in asking for the favor, knowing that it's a lot to ask, but Kum reassures him.
先日のことだ。それがしのもとに古い友人から連絡が入った。こんな男が常ならば決して発さぬ頼むという言葉を使った。さて、うぬがそれがしの立場ならどうする？
Oh.
ドクターの連絡先だ。直接話してくれ。
I like how these like buff anime men just like walked up and hugged each other so sincerely. Oh, that's Guilty Gear, I guess.
Faust connects to Kum, and they discuss the situation. colony residents have had strange symptoms. Daily temperature increases of 0.002 degrees.
What?
Rapid increases in metabolism. Faust believes a cure can be found in an ancient book he's seen before. Kum is no doctor, but can tell that something massive is affecting the entire population. Worried about containment, she compares the situation to seeing black smoke, but no fire. The enemy is not the outbreak, it's time.
Time.
As a child, Baiken had her family and her home stolen away from her by war. Small and weak, she could do nothing to stop the attack.
Finally, we're back to see
she could only watch
been doing.
the chaos around her as the face of her disgusting foe burned itself into her mind. Now she lives her life solely for revenge. Wandering her own path, a collect call carrier makes the mistake of sneaking up on Baiken. On the line, she's being asked to return to the colony as it's becoming overcrowded with outsiders of all kinds. The man on the phone also reports to her that he has no info on the whereabouts of that man. Revealed to be Angie Mito, he wonders how to tell her that the Gearmaker might not be the one who she wants revenge on. The Universal Will. Believing it was somehow related to the recent incident, Chip ordered Answer to investigate. Working hard on the case, Answer receives a call from Hiyori, another of Chip's government employees. Answer reports that he found a conclave note hidden in Harden Fort that sounded like a confession. They had an ideology behind their actions, but it's unclear if and how they worked with the Universal Will. Finishing up his investigation, Answer arrives in the Japanese colony.
I don't know why Business Ninja just cracks me up so much. I love it.
It's such a crossover, and they somehow make it work.
Yeah.
I guess it's like creativity in a nutshell. Taking two things that wouldn't normally fit together and making it work. That's great.
Strong key in Ogre Valley. He is immediately detected by Baiken, who doesn't take kindly to outsiders trespassing, even if they call themselves diplomats. After all,
I'm a diplomat. Sure, and I'm a princess. What a response.
The administration has already labeled the people of the colony a cancer upon the world.
Yes.
After clearing up the misunderstanding, Answer shows Baiken his note and explains that it's not yet clear why the administration is showing up in the colony, but if Chip's hunch is right, this isn't over yet.
I mean, that's all I've been looking at.
Answer's booty?
Oh, my bad. I thought you meant Baiken's boobies. I guess I just heard what I wanted to hear. But I could be looking at Answer's booty too. You never know.
Those are the 2 points of interest on screen. Baiken's boobies and Answer's booty.
Oh,
Prologue.
My people need me!
Universal Will. Elphelt regains the emotions she almost lost. Nevertheless, she's fallen into the hands of the Universal Will.
Oh no.
The Sanctus Maximus looks over an unconscious Elphelt and revels at the thought that a destiny centuries in the making was nearly upon them. Just a little more. Elphelt awakens, no longer wearing her wedding attire. She seemingly has forgotten all recent events and thinks about finding a husband, but realizes she's forbidden from falling in love. She can't remember who Mother is. Standing alone at the Central Organ Tower, she wonders if she'll ever get married, when suddenly a system voice is heard. Something resembling Soul appears and hits on her.
Aww.
もしかして私を狙ってたりします？
悪くねえ。こんないい女、俺の家の違うバーベキューにするってことだ。
バーベキュー。And then they fight.
Elphelt tries to get her to sign the nuptials, but her memory breaks down again.
Situation G 修正エラー。見るに耐えない。もうやめよう。不思議には思わなかったのかい。君は誰にでも素直に好意を寄せられるので、実は自ら遠ざけている。きっとこのやり方では君を傷つけてしまうだけだ。
あの感情が芝居じゃねえって言うなら。
うるさいな。
Damn.
これではいけないな。
Yada yada.
The most recent turn of events for which the world holds the Conclave responsible was but a small part in a much grander scheme plotted by the Sanctus Maximus and Bedman. What exactly is the world of absolution? The curtain was about to rise.
Here we go.
Elphelt awakens once again in a dream. This time, Bedman greets her, wondering why she was born with emotions anyway. He explains that she's about to become the world tree of a new era, and that Mother is trying to help all these helpless souls that need to be recycled and cleansed. He offers her a pleasant dreamlike reality, where she can wish for anything, but she rejects it, attacking him. Ultimately to no avail, she begins to feel a headache and starts to wake up. Alarmed that she might be reacting to the flame of corruption, he teleports away. He locates the cause of the disturbance.
Well, it's appealing to be able to live in a world of fantasy where anything that you dream up of can become a reality. But I think Bedman should know better than anybody that that's not it. That's not life.
Jack O. Valentine.
Ah, there it is.
Confused and unsure about who or what he's looking at, Bedman has never heard of this cast member.
Cast member?
After a fight ensues, he is shaken by the readings coming from her backyard power. Suddenly, the child becomes the adult.
What a freak!
でもここまで法力学に通じた人材は見たことがない。せっかく面白い話ができそうなのに残念ね。敵対する前に出会いたかったわ。
なぜそのことを知っている？そんなことザトウのような一度死んだ人間でなければ。まさか。
ああ、なるほど。あなた覚醒しているとオーバーヒートしてしまうのね。
Ah, that's why.
Shocked at what the Gearmaker had up his sleeve, Bedman realizes that she's just as compatible as Elphelt, and he's trying to beat them to justice, preventing their world of absolution. Elphelt awakens from the dream and remembers where she was, imprisoned in justice, awaiting the fusion.
Yeah, because at the end of the last one, she had regained her memories, and it turns out she was only here as like kind of like a double agent. But then kind of got absorbed, and the justice that we fought in the last part disappeared too, never to come back again, for sure.
Yeah,
until now.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. I'm just really interested to see how this Elphelt becomes the rocker Elphelt that we see in Strive.
Guilty Gear Exard, Revelator. Story Mode. In an unknown location, Ariel stands next to Elphelt at the Corpse of Justice. A radio plays Ariel's sermon. Meeting Mother for the first time.
Her hair and her hat are both very impressive, and I can't tell which becomes what.
I would say that if you did actually have that much hair and hat, you would have a extremely strong neck and spine. I don't know how much that weighs, but it must weigh a megaton.
I mean, hair is heavy by itself. Then you add hat.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's how they train and they keep themselves in good physical condition.
Disgusted at her disingenuity.
Is it like training weights that cut off their hair?
She means every word. Killing all redundancies will allow for the true humanity to be born. El having emotions is necessary, else she'd be no different from all the redundancies. She muses that Ramlethal has become a hindrance, and perhaps it's time to kill her.
No!
At a supernatural research facility in Finland, Zappa and his co-worker Randy shoot the shit about things like spontaneous spikes of backyard data density known as information flares, Randy's infamous global hacking prowess, and the new cute girl in charge of Sector 3.
Ooh.
In the years since his incurable possession, Zappa has channeled his distress into studying the supernatural as a hard science, realizing there was nothing occult about that which could be measured and quantified. Suddenly, a gargantuan information flare with tremors is detected, classified Category 3 on the Zappa scale of paranormal likelihood, unprecedented in size and scale, until suddenly multiple are detected.
Uh-oh.
Kai requests an audience with the Sanctus Maximus to discuss the matter of the Opus units. Ariels says that it was her oversight, but Kai places the blame on the Conclave. She asks how he would keep the public from panicking, and he says that he would tell them the truth, dismantle the Opus, and dispatch soldiers in their place. Ariels is unimpressed, but Kai believes that the Opus uprising would be a worse outcome than just upsetting the public. She agrees to decommission the units, and noting how beloved he is by the people, asks him to participate in the upcoming celebration of the end of the Crusades.
Bro does
Kai
not
doesn't
know
think the
being
time
set
is
up.
appropriate, but she feels inspiration is needed now more than ever.
精進いたします。それでは。
The kunai. Ask her the question.
お前が疑わしき人間と出会ったら、こう聞いてみろ。
Do you like human?
どうしました？
いえ、その
Ask her.
人類にとって耐え難き苦渋の歴史は、すべて人間が自ら招いた結果とも言えます。そのような愚かな存在でも、西王様は人間を愛していますか？
私は西王ですよ。そのような質問、答えるまでもないのでは？
That was such a non-answer.
What little doubt he had becomes something close to certainty. Bedman appears, warning Ariels of the existence of Jacko.
だが、彼が隠していたジャック王という少女は、おそらくジャスティスの完全適合生体だ。
Zato speaks directly with Daryl, the third king of Valyria. He's pragmatic and somewhat dismissive of Zato's questions. He'll clear a path for the assassins, so he just wants results. Kai questions Daryl's intentions to absorb the Assassin's Guild without consulting the other kings. Daryl explains that it has not yet happened, but he did so knowing that Kai would have rejected outright. We live in a world where the conclave that founded their laws couldn't be trusted, nor could their lapdogs, the post-war administration bureau. Kai is aware that his method of justice through litigation would have been a massive time and resource sink. Daryl says that he's simply doing what Kai did in bringing Ramlethal over to their side.
Forgot to consider that, but yeah, like the people who helped set up the entire system kind of betrayed everybody and set up that system in the first place in order to make that betrayal a reality. So everything comes into question. All of the political systems in place are they're gonna have to be reworked. I don't know where to begin and who to trust. If I was in Kai's position, I would be dead.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Overwork. Yeah.
As they needed all the allies they can get. The assassins then meet to celebrate the next chapter for their guild. Slayer remarks that it was right to not go to Kai, as Daryl seemes heavily motivated by profits.
I can't not think of the Sheikah symbol whenever I see Venom. And I hate that I think of it every time, but I can't not.
I mean, it's very iconic.
Of business is tracking down Bedman to reclaim the guild's honor. Venom politely declines to stay for wine and cheese, as time is of the essence for his next mission. Soul meets up with Axel for drinks at a bar, and asks him to investigate the past for any clue that could help. Axel's known Soul for centuries, so he can tell that this request isn't just business. But unfortunately, he can't help. Because despite discovering that he has subconsciously been controlling his time slips, he can't do it anymore. Axel tells him the truth. If he world jumps, everything could end. But Soul doesn't really seem to react. Axel asks Soul.
Once again, Soul is just like, yeah, okay, I expected that. Oh, anyway, see ya. The situation just doesn't get better for this man, so he expects the worst possible outcome in any engagement.
What he would do if he chose the old timeline.
そうじゃないけど自分でもどうしたらいいかわからないんだ。
He needs reaffirmation.
厄介事が増えるな、ごめんだ。
Soul rides his Firewheel Mark II motor.
I like it. I love Soul, man. It's just like, yeah, it's too complicated to think about. Just,
Yeah.
It's not my problem.
Motorcycle, named for his summon during Baptisma 13, thinking of the conversation with Axel.
盲目な進化による破滅と一人のエゴによる破滅、どちらがよりくだらねえ。
Suddenly, the ground swells and erupts, and a giant unknown beast attacks.
What the? What is that? Is that a
But
gear?
quickly collapses onto itself, triggering
Huh?
a massive explosion.
Oh, Soul survived that easy. Yeah. Good thing you had your motorcycle with
Soul
you.
barely escapes by launching over a cliff. Without enough time to cast Levitate, he summons the Firewheel and uses Junkyard Dog explosions to propel himself to safety.
Of course. They literally were like, yeah, just him casting a float spell would be way too easy. We gotta make this more epic. We gotta add explosions.
Looking back at the explosion,
That was some
Soul
Ruby
accepts
level
Paradigm's
physics.
offer to reach out to the Gearmaker for answers. In downtown Illyria, two troublemaking children are throwing rocks at Robokai,
What the hell?
who appears to be living off the streets, washed up, and selling services.
What?
As the kids are getting the best of him, Venom approaches. He offers Robokai a job, but seeing his ridiculous behavior, he thinks, what a massive waste of post-war administration bureau money and resources. Zappa's reports were getting ignored, so he decides to build a case, and starts by visiting the Royal Library. But everything he looks for is already taken by Faust, sitting nearby.
Hey.
Happy to see a familiar face, he notices the books, including one written by Slayer, and realizes they're working on the same case. The duo then travel to the gates of Illyria Castle, but a guard is giving them a hard time for attempting to barge in. Just then, Leo and Paradigm are walking through the castle grounds, discussing recent reports from Finland, when they spot them at the door. Kum uses her tuning abilities to read May, and sees that there's a notable difference between someone like her who's had suppressive treatments and the rest of the residents. But she's running out of time. May gives her a pirate's charm for good luck, but quietly reminds her to remember to eat because she's been skipping meals. Soul sits in Kai's office as he does paperwork, telling him to hurry up before his foo-foo soft cushions turn his ass soft too.
What?
Kai offers to switch seats.
I really appreciate Wooly for taking that directly. Direct quote is foo-foo soft cushions. And Soul, that guy's a hard man. He's got to sit on a hard floor.
But Soul says that chair would turn him square. He pauses a bit and asks,
なぜ聞かねえ。
何をだ？
俺の過去だ。
聞いていいのか？
保証する。面白い話じゃねえ。
How many videos do we have on this not so interesting past of yours? I don't think so soon.
双子目には勝負だのなんだろ。あれほどやかましかったお前が。
That's all you ever do in this fighting game.
お前だけが。
Almost like it's a fighting game.
あの頃はお前を剣で任すことしか考えていなかったからな。他のことはどうでもよかったのさ。それに月も落としたくなかった。
お前がそんな玉か。
言ってなかったが、こう見えて私は信心深いんだ。それ、私もお前の過去に興味がないわけではない。しかし、相手を理解したい気持ちと全てを知ることは違う。私にとってはフレデリックという男の過去よりもソル・バッドガイの未来の方が大事だ。
Soul asks if Kai really thinks he has a future. Kai then offers a glass of whiskey. He himself doesn't drink, but hears this is a good one, and it lends to the atmosphere. Soul says it'll look better if some's missing, and Kai agrees. His job is to give people hope, so that they can still enjoy the little things. Hope doesn't have to tip the scales of the world, but if he can't look out for his friends, he's not fit to rule. Soul says he can start by learning how to drink. Sin visits Ram in Royal Fleet 1 and notices that even her posture is emotive now. Her fingers are showing anxiety. She's worried about Elle, and worried about fitting in.
私もそう。人の幸福を定義することは難しい。私は多分今幸せなんだ。でもこの窓に映る私が笑うにはエルが足りない。窓？ここで得た時間は幸せで暖かかった。光のある世界。窓の向こうは冷たくて寒い暗い世界。暗い世界からは明るいここが見えてとても羨ましいんだ。でもこの光の世界から外を見てもそこに映るのは幸せな自分たちだけ。エルはずっとあっち側にいる。ここからは見えない暗い闇の中に。
Well. Dang it. You gotta mess up the good moment there. But I do want to say that Ramlethal and Elfelt's story from last video were probably the first time where like a character's story actually brought an emotional response from me. It's like, oh, yeah. I'm actually feeling something. Something else from like, holy shit, that's really cool. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Writing is getting good. I like it.
No, I love Ram. So
what? Yeah, kind of.
ギア細胞の最も優れている点は人並みに酔えることだ。
Soul walks over to the window and smashes it, and the entire wall of the ship with it.
What the? Okay, so I get it. The symbolism. It's almost as if you were listening to what she was saying, but like, you really didn't have to do this. I guess drunk Soul is dangerous. So that's
it's a little less destructive than Bedmaid shooting her dog to prove a point.
Oh, well, actually, you know what? Yeah, fair. I kind of prefer this over what Bedmaid did. 1,001,000,000%.
Yeah.
窓一枚で人の幸福を隔てる。お前が壁だと思っているものはお前。
Hey, that's what he does. He smacks it really hard with his fists.
Yeah. Just beat up your emotions. Put them into submission.
Yes.
Ramlethal's favorite burger joint. Chip and Answer review their plans for the Eastern Chip Kingdom's involvement in the upcoming war. Examining the Conclave letter written by Libraria, it implies that the Conclave and Universal Will were at odds with each other. Answer also reveals that the previous Sanctus Maximus, Happiness the 27th, was deranged before he died, but on his deathbed, he mentioned Universal Will, years before the first Valentine ever appeared. He was also the one who directly appointed Ariels as Cardinal. In a wasteland area, Bedman closely observes another massive gear explosion.
This is not good. Not good at all.
Suddenly, he notices Slayer, casually walking towards him.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Just imagine Slayer casually walking towards you.
Bro. You're approaching me?
I feel like Slayer is like every trope, but I love it for it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think he's great, and even if he is those tropes, that's kind of his entire charm for his character. Yeah.
It plays into it and takes it 100% seriously, and that's the fun of it.
From a distance, Zato explains to Milia that Bedman's trick relies on reading your mind just before you attack, and the only way around it is to simply stop thinking.
Did he already figure that out? Oh. Oh, well, of course you can just repair yourself, obviously. Oh. Well, that's not gonna do much. Yeah. Oh. I believe I saw in the comment section for the last video, people were talking about Gabriel, the long-nosed man from Zep, that even Slayer doesn't really want to fight him. He's just that OP. A character that we don't even get to play as. Like, what a badass.
When's the Schnoz DLC?
Oh, that smile. Oh, his arm! His dismembered arm smacked him!
As they fight, Bedman is forced to take things seriously.
Well, there you go. There's the percentages again.
おいおい、温まるのは少し早くないかね。もう少し小出しにしていこう。その方が楽しい。もう少しというのはわがままかね。
ザトウの能力が機能することは分かった。この辺で満足してちょうだい。
こんな機会、この先100年もないのだね。 この先は私の友人に譲るとするよ。
Let Zato fight this?
With that, they teleport away, leaving Bedman confused.
Yeah,
In Illyria
they are really
Castle,
odd.
A meeting.
Okay, never mind, I guess. He just wanted to have a little bit of fun, as Slayer does. I see him.
Of the minds between Paradigm, Faust, Zappa, Sol, Kai, and Leo is underway. Leo is in over his head, as others are discussing magical theory and the links between everything occurring.
Where did you just pull that balloon from? You just keep that on you?
Well, whenever anybody needs an explanation on magical theory, yes. It's like the people who take a random piece of paper, they fold it, and then they poke a hole through it with a pencil, and they're like, this is a wormhole. See that so many times, and I'm like, wait, where'd you get that? Why do you always have these on hand?
水が入るとします。そして水は情報です。まあ風船ですから、水が1リットル前後で多少増減することはそんなに問題にはなりません。ところが、何らかの原因でこの水が突然10リットルとかの大きな単位で増えてしまう現象を情報体フレアと言います。
Information flares are what happens when the information mass exceeds 256 pb per cubic meter. The results can sometimes cause possession or strange phenomena to occur, such as spontaneous combustion or seeing someone who's halfway around the world. Under extreme circumstances, matter can be rewritten, like turning dirt into steel. Faust has a different hypothesis, however.
これを見てください。破壊神ジャスティスが聖戦を始めた日。同時に日本が消滅した日の記憶です。生存者の証言内容はまるで今回の件に似ている。ここです。ジャスティスが日本を破壊する直前、ジャパニーズの体に異変が起こったことが記されています。
I mean, Japan was kind of a casualty in that failed experiment they did all the way back when. I guess now they're just kind of discovering exactly what happened.
その時、坂田はもだえ苦しみ、 巨大で異質な生き物へと変貌を遂げた。これは
The genetic after effect was kept relatively secret, but this is the reason the Japanese survivors were quarantined into a colony and given treatment to delay ill effects. But now, since a placebo was recently introduced, they'd be vulnerable if they came into contact with a powerful information flare. The resulting overload would exceed the limits, creating volatile antimatter. Understanding the danger, Faust gets to work on a...
So that's why they've been given the placebos, in order to make sure that they do actually react to the whatever's about to happen here.
They're weaponizing the Japanese!
Oh no! How could they? The Sanctus Maximus Populi, I'll never forgive you!
A cure, while Zappa gathers prediction data for where the next flares will occur. Ino and Axel meet in unknown liminal space. Surprised that he found this place, she remarks that he must have control over his abilities now. She wonders if he's going to give her some pipe dream about using it for the greater good, but he says no. He's afraid of the fact that he could theoretically do anything with it.
Too much power.
He's like the actual opposite of Ino.
Yeah, pretty much. That's probably how his character was written in the first place, considering how tied to Ino's character that he is. Well, the exact opposite parallel. Heading in the different direction.
Yeah.
だけどもしその犬が自分は狼だと主張すれば少なくとも犬以外の何かになる。そいつにしか見えない景色も見つかる。人が生きていく権利なんてね、自分以外の誰も見つけてはくれないんだよ。
Jacko is frustrated that they're running out of time and can't move until that man returns. The longer they wait, the lower the rate of success. Raven notices an injury on her leg from fighting Bedman and begins healing it. She asks why he's being so nice today, to which he replies that he's forgotten what it's like to have normal conversation, or to use his voice for anything other than fighting.
Oh, when you live
Raven
that
realized
long.
that when he hurt Ramlethal by calling her an emotionless doll, he became one himself. He swore not to let that happen.
あなたがそんなおセンチな人だったとは驚きね。
Leo tries to get a read on Sol about his past, wanting to know what his long-term purpose is behind stopping justice for personal reasons. He offers to wipe the books clean if Sol saves the world. Sol says the only thing certain is that he's...
That's all you gotta do.
Save the world.
Yeah. Just a easy little task that you could do on your way back home. Yeah.
He's getting back Elle, no matter what. She doesn't belong in the world of ancient relics like him or Jack-O. Zappa and Paradigm use the advanced castle equipment to run Zappa's forecast of information flares, and they quickly realize that the concentrated projection of flares over the Japanese colony will result in a cataclysmic explosion with enough energy to fuse Elfelt and Justice. Bursting into Leo's office, Paradigm reports that they have 52 hours to stop them from engulfing the world. During the Cradle incident, Bedman sealed the Gearmaker inside of a prison surrounded by absolute defense Felion. But he's able to sense what's happening outside. Suddenly, Kronos appears in the unknown space and dispels the barrier, noting that that man's black hole strategy worked on the Cradle but can't be done alone. The spell can only be cast by those with proper authorization, even within the backyard, so this makes it clear who the enemy is.
人類とギアの血の歴史に完全なる決着をつけねばならない。となれば、お前はあのソルバット街に
And that's why he reveals his identity.
そういうことか。100年以上も告白できずに過ごしてきた。正直怖いな。裏がれていれば、フレデリックとつながっていられると思ってきた。ちゃんと説明できるかな。
修士論文よりは簡単なはずだ。
論文に友達を失う覚悟は必要ないだろう。
Kronos says he's beginning to understand why their master entrusted the Gearmaker with the seed. Kronos has taken many lives, but has no regrets, as it was all to preserve the future.
Really?
Kum Hae-hyun receives an unexpected visit.
You know, I mean, he kind of turned it around and I can kind of see it, but I'm not gonna forgive him. Like, they tried to take everybody's free thought. Like, that's that's horrific, man. Ugh, man. But I guess, like, the worst evils come from the best of intentions. So maybe it started as a good intention, but I don't think you can justify taking people's free will away from them as any kind of good.
I feel like that's a thing that you reach when you've just escalated so far. Right? You're starting on good intentions and you're trying to find the solution, and you get so lost in it that's where you end up.
Yeah. Got lost in the sauce.
She asks if Kum can save her people, noting that he has no obligation to do so. He explains that each link on the chain he wears is from a different country, and that they're united in the hopes that people will also come together. Baiken is satisfied. She leads him to a sacred tree, hidden from outsiders, that has been nourished with ki from birth. It should be able to magnify ki abilities manyfold. As long as he protects her people, she'll protect him. Ariel sees that Paradigm and friends are starting to move. Elfelt pleads with her to stop, but to no avail. Ariel says that the perfect tomorrow she creates will be one in which everyone agrees. She's been incredibly...
I wonder why everybody's gonna agree. if you remake them into beings that will always agree, then yeah, no shit. Then they won't be human anymore. These new humans of yours. They'll just be a mockery of humanity. God.
Patient, and she commends them for trying really hard for millions of years.
Every once in a while we get a cutscene. I'm like, I remember this cutscene. For whatever reason, this is one of them.
If you burn some eggs making breakfast, then you just have to make them again.
No! You can't compare humanity to some cooked eggs? What are you, crazy? Jeez.
I mean, look at that hat hair.
Oh, yeah,
There's
true.
There's gotta be a little crazy in there.
No sane person would ever have that kind of hat hair. Imagine her trying to go to bed and sleep. Like, what is the process?
I mean, I have to imagine she has to take off the hat, but the amount of work that would go into separating hat and hair, I don't know.
Yeah, and then she has to do that and just put it on in the morning again? Like, jeez. Yeah. So impractical, lady. But I guess it makes sense for you. You have such impractical ways of going about with things. Just remaking humanity. Yeah, sure.
Then summons Phalanx 9, her personal guard of mind-controlled warriors, as well as an anti-matter gear, with a little girl as a hostage.
What the?
In the Illyrian war room, Zappa has the command center scan all Category 2 areas for non-evacuees. Recognizing her voice, he perchance asks Alexis if she's the new girl in charge of Sector 3. She is. Scanning over the Scandiva area, she suddenly starts picking up Elfelt's signal. That man returns to the sanctuary and reconvenes with Jacko and Raven. They suspect El's signal is a trap, and Raven departs to Scandiva. Paradigm suspects a trap as well. Ramlethal volunteers to go in.
It's a trap!
At worst, casualties are kept to a minimum, and at best, she can scan for clues. Sin joins her, as does a minimal escort of soldiers. Upon arrival in the Scandiva sector, the group splits up to cover the evacuated area. As they do, Ariels drops an antimatter gear right above Ram.
Well, here we go.
It begins collapsing, so she flies away, but notices a little girl still within the blast radius. She stops to save her, but gets ambushed by a Phalanx 9 unit.
Dang it. She's just trying to do the right thing.
His helmet looks like a chicken.
Quickly summoning Lucifero, she throws the hostage up and commands him to escape with her, knowing that it's too late for herself. She sends Sin a message.
Shin, 私は
No.
私は本当はずっと笑う練習をしていたんだよ。いつか私とエル そしてシンと一緒に笑えると思って。
なんだよ急に。こんな時に話すことじゃないだろ。
Elphelt screams. But Ariel says this was always the plan for Ramlethal, the failure.
Thanks. That makes me feel so much better.
Later,
oh my god. Well, I can imagine this moment hitting really hard, but we have future knowledge, so it's like, I wonder how she comes back. I also found it really funny that it's one of those anime moments where like talking doesn't actually use up time. It's just a free action. Because in that moment, I feel like she could have gotten away, but yeah, it's anime.
Yeah.
Convict Hammer reports to Kai that some remains of Ram have been recovered for a state funeral, but that his report also contains other disturbing results. Paradigm
Wait, his name is Convict Hammer? I just noticed.
Yeah. I was going to say something, I'm like, nah, it's fine. That's such a good name.
I guess that makes sense, considering the massive block that he wields with him. It's just a block on a stick. Okay, yeah. I see you.
Contact with the Gearmaker. He teleports directly into their office, alongside Jacko.
Betting the farm?
He just likes making a dramatic entrance.
Always does.
There's always time for a dramatic entrance.
I'm actually
that
a cat
man
boy.
Explains that the Universal Will's actions seem to be confusing at a glance, but have a singular purpose. The creation of an everlasting, indestructible life form that will serve as humanity's replacement. The Big Five mass extinction events of the past were not limited to Earth. They were previous instances of the absolute world, wiping out life across the universe.
バックヤードには2つの情報有機体が存在する。そうね。アダムとイブとでも呼称しましょう。
I don't think I'll ever get used to that.
意志や知性を持たない。お互いただごく稀に出現しては消滅を繰り返しているの。でもその2つが同時に出現すると、現世とバックヤードは境界が曖昧になり、一時的に融合する。それが絶対確定世界と呼ばれる状態。そしてその状態に耐えられないものは絶滅してしまう。
の死である第一の男は再び絶対確定世界が起こらないようにアダムとイブをそれぞれ2つの種に封じ込めた。
種だと。
一つをユノの天秤と名付け、そしてもう一つを
背徳の本。
Leo then asks why the Universal Will wants to create a new humanity.
そうだね。それじゃあ昔話をしよう。ある男の現在。
Our series has no religious undertones, by the way.
No, none.
No! It's over! Oh man, I was getting into that. Dang it. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to watch the next one.
Yup.
But anyways, my dudes, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later.
Bye-bye.